Today's video is going to be all about discussing the international recruitment for healthcare professionals in the UK. Now, many of y'all have obviously reached out to me on Instagram saying, Nikita, they have suggested that they're going to stop the recruitment of NHS nurses and healthcare professionals in the UK. What is the situation? What is the ground zero reality? And if any of y'all are interested in it, don't forget to watch this video all the way to the end, because in today's video, I will be sharing exactly what are the news updates, but exactly what it is that the Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has said in relation to this, and what you should be doing if you are a healthcare professional who's planning to come into the UK in the next few months or in the next year even. So if you are interested in any of this, do not forget to watch this video all the way to the end. But if you haven't already followed me on Instagram, now's your turn to do so. My handle is Physiotherapy in UK. So let's dive into today's content, guys. All right, so first things first, there have been genuine conversations in the UK about creating a recruitment decrease of international healthcare professionals from all over the globe. And there has been several conversations around this, not only at a parliament level, but also things that the Prime Minister has spoken about. Now, I know many of you all have reached out to me sharing the exact video with me about the nurses, and it is very legitimate, but I just wanted to take some time to create a video like this where I put down the facts for all of you to also help you get a clear idea of what's happening over here. So what we're going to do is we're just going to talk over to the screen right there. So as you can see, this is an article that says that growth in the NHS recruits from abroad prompts concern about over-reliance. So as you can see right there, the NHS is genuinely having a large-scale recruitment of healthcare professionals, and it's not only nurses but also doctors, other allied health professionals including physios, OTs, speech therapists, and so many others. And as you can see, there have been ongoing concerns about this, because now that the NHS has faced massive staff shortages, there are nearly about 10,000 vacancies in the NHS across the UK. They are obviously trying to fill those vacancies by hiring international migrants or sort of international healthcare professionals into the UK to sort of help the NHS continue to perform even after the COVID or even right now. Now, what is one of the main concerns is obviously that because of this international recruitment, they are worried that if the international recruits, say for example, if it's a doctor or a nurse or an allied health professional, if they find any other country more appealing, say for example, a lot of nurses these days are speaking about moving to Australia, then they are concerned that obviously there's going to be a larger gap of vacancies in the UK, and they are worried that obviously the NHS, which is already under massive stress, under massive tension of being able to perform and provide care consistently to the citizens of UK, will not be able to do so. Hence, this is one of the reasons the NHS is worried about international recruits being hired into the UK in such large amounts or in such massive numbers. Now, what I'm also going to do is pull up this article from the BBC, which says that obviously Rishi Sunak says that the 15-year NHS plan will train and retain more NHS staff. Now, the idea of this is obviously that they want their own people, that is the people within the UK, to be trained as healthcare professionals to work for the NHS. Now, what's the reason for this? I think the idea is really simple. So every year, the NHS pays nearly about £7 to £8 billion in order to be able to recruit NHS professionals, that is internationally, so from India, Philippines, Bangladesh, Pakistan, or any other country. And the reason for this is, firstly, they need to provide cost for certificates of sponsorship. But other than that, also, if your location of your job is in a remote location which has difficulty in finding a job, they also help to assist you with some sort of visa cost, travel fees, and maybe even accommodation for the first 1.5 to 2 months. Now, again, this is not compulsory for every NHS trust. So if you are provided a job, or if you have gotten a job from your recruiter or from your NHS sort of employer, you need to reach out to them and ask them if they provide this, but it's not a compulsion. They do not need to provide you with all of your visa costs or travel reimbursement. So keep that in mind, guys. I think another question that came up recently to me was, does NHS actually pay for your HCPC registration as well once you're provided the job? Do they end up reimbursing that money back to you? And the answer is no. Whatever money you spend for HCPC is the money that you spend from your pocket, because that's the money that allows you to get your license to practice in the UK as a allied health professional. So obviously the idea of Rishi Sunak right now, when he makes a statement that he wants to train and retain more staff in the UK, the idea is that if he gets people from the UK training up, they obviously don't have to sponsor their visas, do not have to sponsor their flights, accommodation, etc. And so the costs of training or retaining the staff is then going to drop. Now, obviously, this is a long-term plan because like I said to you, this is over the next 15 years. And recently, there has been no conversation about when they are planning to put this in effect or when are they going to stop international migration altogether. Also, in my personal opinion, it's going to be really hard to put a freeze or to put a sudden stop into this sort of immigration levels for healthcare professionals. And I sort of see this being more staggered over the next few years, if so that they plan to do this, considering that they are able to train up a lot of more healthcare professionals within the UK itself. So if you are somebody who's planning to come into the UK in the rest half of the 2023 or in the next year, my recommendation to you would be, do not stress, do not fret about this. The easiest thing that you're going to do, obviously, when you think about coming to the UK is start with your IELTS or start with any other English language requirements, which might even be your TOEFL for an HCPC registration. And again, if this is something you are doing, I would say prepare for it really well and go ahead and give your IELTS or your TOEFL. Now, again, I know some of you are being concerned about your queries related to whether you can give a medium of instruction letter or if you need to really give IELTS, and I've made a very detailed video about this, which I highly recommend you watch. But yes, that being said, I would say keep preparing for it. Give that exam whenever you're ready for two reasons. Firstly, obviously, if you give the exam, clear it with the requirements or the score requirements that you do need for HCPC, you can go ahead and apply for your HCPC registration. I have received several feedback from all of my one-to-one clients and people on YouTube saying that obviously they've received their HCPC registration within a month, within 2 months, which is fabulous news because now that means that HCPC is processing applications much faster for international recruits. So get your HCPC license. Now, again, the second benefit of giving your IELTS is obviously that you can still use your IELTS to go to another country. So say, for example, you want to use that IELTS to apply for your license to practice in another country. It's always there and you do not need to be wasting any more time. So that being said, this was some of the advice that I wanted to give you on trying to come into the UK in the next sort of 6 months or 1 year. Again, like I said, the plan to train and retain staff in the NHS is a long-term commitment that the PM Rishi Sunak has put out there. It will take some time to implement this. So if you are in your initial stages or preliminary stages of trying to come to the UK as a healthcare professional, I would say now is the right time. You also have the health and care worker visa, which I've made a detailed video about. But if you are struggling with your HCPC applications, or if you're struggling with your landing an interview or clearing an interview, please book a one-to-one session with me, guys. Do not hesitate. And the link for that is in the description box below. But that's it for today's video, guys. Take care. Bye.